Welcome back to Fixing My Faith. And in case you don't know me, my name is Vern. Well, today the thumbnail obviously caught you because you're watching me, and this is the thumbnail. Hypocrites. Why? Who? What? What is this all about? Well, there's a JW.org website there. Oh, well, that's the latest one. We'll look at it. And then there's a couple barrels of chemicals. Well, let's see what this is all about. We're going to get right into it. Let's go to JW.org website. Now, when you open the website today, they just changed the picture. So this is what you see. Wildlife declines 73% in 50 years. What does the Bible say? Keep on the watch. JW.org, they like to do that. They like to pretend that they know all about what's going on in the world, and you better keep on the watch because this is what's going on. So you hit find out, and they got this African picture there from Getty Images. Keep on the watch. So this is what their big headline is, talking about the World Wildlife Fund released a sobering report. It's not like JW.org even donates to that or helps any of that. That's not what they do. But anyways, they're going to use their statistics, and it says it revealed that over the past 50 years, the average size of the monitored wildlife population has shrunk. We've all seen the reports. This is right off the History Channel. Many people are naturally shocked by these reports, so now they're going to monopolize on people being shocked. You may wonder, will we be able to protect the Earth's wildlife? While I'm watching the History Channel, I'm thinking, yeah, that might be a good question. Would that ever happen? Well, what does the Bible say? Yeah, good question. I don't know. What does the Bible say? Well, they say there's a hope for the future. Despite our best efforts, the future of the planet's wildlife rests not with us. What? Rests not with us, but with God. Well, didn't God tell Adam and Eve, here, I've given you the earth, you subdue it, look after it? Did he not use those words, look after the earth? I'm sure I'm correct on that, but that's another study. But these guys are saying, no, not with us, but with God. You see, if everything is the future, nothing's about the present, then why is this a charity religion? Why is it's not looking after the people? It doesn't have ground forces when there's a flood or a hurricane, although they will go in and rebuild their kingdom halls and some houses if they get insurance. Now, they don't have ground crews. They're not out there with blankets. They're not out there with first aid. They're not out there like the Red Cross frontlining any of these disasters. Not the Watchtower. Because they say it's not with us. It rests with God. This is their philosophy with everything. And they go on to say, and this is to me blasphemy, folks. This is blasphemy. Okay, so we have that scripture pulled up, Revelation 11, verse 18. And I did a video on this probably about a year ago. We were talking about those that are bring to ruin those ruining the earth. It says there, but the nations became wrathful, and your own wrath came, and the appointed time came for the dead to be judged, and to reward your slaves the prophets, and the holy ones, and those fearing your name, the small and the great. And the final statement here, folks, is to bring to ruin those ruining the earth. Bring to ruin those ruining the earth. So it has been said, it has been proven that the life of the earth is dependent upon the trees upon it. And so that's why every religion, when we did this study a year ago, every religion on earth has a tree planting program. Pretty much all these religions, the big ones, Muslims, Buddhists, Catholics, Mormons, they all have a tree planting program. Every year they're planting trees. Why? Because we all use trees. We all use trees. We all buy toilet paper. We all buy paper products. Now, for over 100 years, the Watchtower has been the biggest producers or printers, spreading the so-called good news to every house on the planet over and over again, sometimes hitting them every 3 months with magazines. And we did the study on this. There was millions of trees knocked down by the Watchtower. And the Watchtower does not have a tree planting program with its members. The members will work for free. All the Watchtower has to say, hey guys, we're ripping trees down, we're going to plant trees. Or they could say, over the last 100 years, we ripped all these trees down, we're going to get involved in a tree planting program. You see, that's not on the annual meeting. That's not on the books of the Watchtower. On the books of the Watchtower is to try to look good. So they'll put solar panels on their roofs. They're doing this at the Ramapo project. Solar. And you know that solar's not green energy. Solar panels. That's not green energy. The lithium and the children digging and mining, it's not green energy. If you want to be green, plant trees, Watchtower. Put your money into planting trees. Anyways, we did a video on that. Now they're talking about this, hope for the future. You know, it's not our problem, but God's going to look after it. He's going to bring to ruin those ruining the earth. Well, if we do a little bit of a study on this, and they go on to talk about God will stop people from completely ruining or destroying the earth. And you know, people get caught. People are doing silly things to this planet, like dumping chemicals. You know, just digging a hole in the ground and dumping poisonous chemicals, like these huge printing factories. You know, could you imagine one of the world's biggest printing factories that's getting magazines out to people every day of the year in every country in over 1,000 languages? And they're burying and they're printing chemicals, just dumping them into the soil. So this got me thinking. I did a bit of a search on this, and it led me to this word called hypocrisy. That's the practice of claiming to have moral standards or beliefs to which one's own behavior does not conform. It's a pretense. You know, so what is the pretense? Well, they put out this article on wildlife declines and how it's really God's problem, but it's humans' problem. They're ruining the earth. The humans. It's all the people. You know, it's so easy. I'm going to just pull you onto the big screen. It's so easy, like narcissists. I talk about narcissists. So they'll hide and cover up their own problems, but they'll point fingers all over at everyone. Well, they're the problem. They're the problem. They're the problem. It's the governments. It's them. It's the big business. That's who's ruining the earth. You see, and then they get their people looking at the wicked world. They've trained their people to believe that the world's wicked. And but here's what we do. We uncover this. And the Watchtower is doing nothing when it comes to helping the earth. They have no program at all, like all the other religions do. So we go back to that word hypocrisy. Claiming to be something that they're not. It's a pretense when they write articles like this. Why are they writing articles like this? So we do a little bit of digging on this. You type into Google waste buried at the Watchtower. A lot of stuff comes up. So this article comes up. I covered this on one of my videos, JW Facts, Watchtower caught dumping chemicals. And they have the article right here, right by the Times Herald record. The whole article's there. Watchtower is burying chemicals, and it goes back to the 70s. And then this leads to a local journal ran this about the Watchtower farms. The government investigates it, this contamination. It had to all be cleaned up. Watchtower lied through their teeth. They lied through their teeth. How do I know that? I didn't know it on my last video, but I dug a little deeper this time, and I found this video came up. And this is a video that was done by Lloyd Evans. And it says, I blew the whistle on the toxic waste at Wallkill, a conversation with William Morgan. Now, William Morgan is an ex-Bethelite. We're just going to listen to a little piece of this. When was the waste buried? We're just going to cover that little bit here. And this Bethelite, he gives the whole story. And I'll put the link in this video so you can watch the whole thing. But I want to show you what the Bethelite says, and this is what's important. And I want to also thank Lloyd Evans for doing the interview. He did a great job. So let's move forward and watch this little bit of the interview.
You had other
it
waste
looked like
material.
Materials that were connected with printing in some way.
It's exactly what it was. There was no question of what it was. Obviously, they've been printing for over 100 years by then.
Sure. And in the article, and I think as we're going to learn, you were you were responsible for these articles being written.
That's right.
In the article, it makes clear that, or it suggests that the gigantic printing operation dates back to the 1970s. So is your understanding that this material would have been buried around the 1970s or later?
You know, I can't say with precision, but, you know, the term that was floated around at that time was the sins of our fathers. So it was believed by some that these were wastes from Brooklyn that were shipped up to the farm. You know, like I said, I can't say for sure. I don't know, but those were some of the conversations that I overheard, took part of, you know, were part of. And so, yeah, and there was other indications that the waste was dated. I learned through this issue that barrel construction can be dated just by how...
So you look at the barrel and you can tell roughly when it was...
Right. Manufacturing styles and standards have changed over time.
Yeah.
So, and that became a problem in this issue as well, because, you know, if a regulator were to come out and see a barrel that looked like it was manufactured in the 40s, that would spark further questions.
Right.
And that was a big concern in this matter, that further questions would be asked.
Right, so they find these barrels, and the main concern is what? Is how do we comply with the law, or is it how do we make this problem go away?
Well, it seemed that the primary concern was how it would look to the public, or how you know, how this would appear in the press. So that, and I'm sure there could have been the cost concerns, lots of concerns with something like this. I got the sense that it was somewhat widespread. I mean, I don't know, but but they were very concerned that there were other areas, and my overseer actually pointed out areas where they thought that
There might be more.
Right.
Yeah.
So that was a concern, and initially the response, and I detailed this in my report to the DEC, and follow-up conversations with their investigation.
Yeah.
The initial report was a very minimized report, and in fact, it was, in my opinion, it didn't tell the whole story. It didn't tell the whole story at all, but it was to present this as an isolated case, a very small, minor mishap, and that's that. Whereas it did not indicate whatsoever that there could be other legacy material out there. Nobody wanted that to come out, and it didn't until until I reported it, and you know, that whole investigation ran its course.
But you reported it after you'd left.
That's right. Yeah.
So when you first discovered this issue in 1997, how was it dealt with at that time?
So, as I mentioned, so we had all facilities that do any sort of industrial activities will have a hazardous waste permit. And that permit allows for a certain amount of anticipated waste to be generated on a regular basis. And it's tightly regulated. So, but what we discovered was a volume that was much bigger. it isn't, it isn't something that you could collect together and put in the
When
swell.
we were talking about this before, you
Yeah.
said, here's what our permit was,
That's
and
right.
this is how much we found.
Right.
Right.
So, for example, on their permit, I'll use as an example, 155-gallon drum of waste per month. I don't know the exact amount, but it was along that level. And here we had 2 large dump trucks full of contaminated soil. We had several drums, some of them damaged, some of them not damaged. You're not gonna process that waste through the existing
permit.
Right,
Okay.
right. So,
And what was the solution?
well, I was asked, along with a few others, to separate some of the material. So you had remnants of barrels, you had printing components, and then a large amount of soil. Now, the barrels and the printing components, or what the material that could be consolidated, but the volume of soil was something that was, it had blue streaks in it, and it was not something you could take anywhere.
Yeah.
So it was and there's a great bit of secrecy over this affair in Bethel.
Right.
So the trucks were driven to a warehouse and just parked there. I was assigned on a Sunday, and
You said it was a Sunday,
Yeah.
so that everyone would be out of Bethel.
right, yeah. So
Right.
so there's 1,500 to 2,000 Bethelites. They scatter them across the congregations in that area. Everybody leaves on a Sunday, and they're not back until late afternoon. And usually it's almost like a free day for Bethelites. So during one of these Sundays, me and a few others were assigned to segregate some of this material. And after that, and it alludes to it in that article, the volume, the dump trucks of contaminated soil was driven out behind the sawmill on a field and just kind of spread into the soil. Yeah. So they were dumped.
So how was it spread, though? Did you use machinery?
Yes. So a bulldozer kind of put a top layer on it, and then a disc. I'm not sure if you're familiar with a disc. If it's something you pull behind a
Right.
tractor with lots of little blades
Right.
that tills it kind of in, and so
So we're talking agricultural machinery.
That's right. Yeah.
So rather than try to comply with the law and dispose of this waste responsibly, the solution was, let's just disperse it into the soil around the factory.
Right. And, you don't need to have a PhD in hazardous waste to know that that's not the proper way to handle it.
Right.
So, but nonetheless, that's what was done with a very small, select few people.
And you were one of the
And
people
I was
that did
one of
that?
the people that did it.
Okay.
And it always grated on me. That was just not right.
Yeah.
It wasn't right. And, you think of why anyone would go to Bethel. And that's to serve in a capacity for God's one true organization because, we have this righteous work to do. And to kind of be roped into something like that just so, they wouldn't look bad to the public eye, rather than doing the right thing, just kind of grated on me, I didn't like being put in that position, and ultimately that was the reason I left Bethel.
When I wrote my article, I obviously...
Well, now you heard the rest of the story. So I didn't hear this story a year ago when I was working on this. This video apparently was done 3 years ago. So this is with the Bethelite. It's interesting to hear it right from the horse's mouth, someone that was involved in the cover-up. Could you imagine eating food that was grown on that contaminated soil that they disked in? They use that up here. We're in Alberta, Canada, part of the oil field. Now we had a farm that was peat moss, and up here in Canada to deal with oil field waste, similar. They have great big pieces of land. It's all permitted and licensed, but guess what? It costs lots of money. So they could have hauled away that contaminated soil. It has to go to a farm that deals with contaminated soil. And that's what they do. They actually use sawdust, and they believe it or not, they grow sunflowers. And when they grow sunflowers on it, it pulls up the lead or something. Whatever they use in thermometers. What is that? Mercury. Pulls the mercury out of the soil. And I guess that's a problem. So anyways, there's ways of dealing with it, but it cost thousands? No. It cost millions of dollars to deal with this waste. So Watchtower wants to hush it up. They hide this. All the Bethelites are dispersed, going to different congregations. No one's there. These guys, this William Morgan he was in charge of covering this all up, tilling this soil in. This could have went back to the 40s, to Rutherford's days. Here they had this farm. The reason Watchtower really needed this farm was to hide dangerous chemicals. You see, if they have a permit for only like 1 5 barrel of poisonous chemicals, and they go through the proper methods of dispersing it, but then they have one other that goes to the farm, gets buried. It sure saves them on a lot of costs. And I could be out on my numbers. I don't know what I'm talking about, whatever they're doing. But for some reason, they have non-permitted dangerous chemicals buried on the farm, Watchtower Farms, and then they cover it all up. And this guy, because he has a conscience, this is a guy who really serves God and acts on his conscience, he left. And he became what they call a whistleblower. He went to the government and said, hey, this is what's going on. And it all got exposed, and if you read the articles, they had to deal with it. But they lied through their teeth right until the end. But you see, the government has his report right from Bethel. He was the guy doing the disking in. Man, you got a pretty viable witness. So we don't know whatever happened. Watchtower paid it all out and made it all go away, and it's still kind of secret. So it's, I guess, thanks to us apostates that keep bringing this stuff up, but we have to. When Watchtower puts out this kind of stuff, and then the hope for the future, and they use the scripture and revelation, bring to ruin those ruining the earth. Well, Watchtower, this is a clear message to you guys for bringing to ruin the earth. It says that God's going to bring to ruin those ruining the earth. So that's why we say you're a hypocrite. Hypocrisy. Watchtower's a hypocrite. Well, folks, that brings an end to this broadcast. 22 minutes. I'm always going over 20 minutes. But anyways, thanks for bearing with me. Keep living your life with love. And get involved in some tree planting this year. Try it out. A lot of fun. I'm going to go for it. I'm going to videotape it too. So anyways, keep living your life with love, and we'll see you on the next video. Bye for now.